Good YouTube, Cardfight King here. AQUA Life Baby, you already know. We got White Steve here with his Megacolony Darkface deck. We already know who Black Steve is. Now we have his alter ego, De Blanco. Take it away.
So I use the new starter, the Generation Break one, because you push them into the soul, and stun when you rest one of your opponent's rear guards if it's not rested, and then stun it until their next turn. Then I run 4 heals, and then in all pretty much Megacolony decks now, you just run 12 crit, because you do a lot of drawing in this deck, and there's really no point in putting in draws, because you'll just burn through your deck quicker and quicker and quicker. So just run 12 crit. It's just much better.
12 crits too good. The deck draws a ton.
Yeah, draws way too much.
All right, on to grade 1.
So then I run 4 of the new Perfect Guard. Really because they don't have much of an unflipping, and you do use a lot of counterblasts in this deck, so you need something to unflip. And I run 4 of the Stride Enabler. Yeah.
Stride, it's a stride deck. It's a Darkface. You have to stride.
Yeah, it's pretty much necessary. Then I run this guy. He's pretty much a 9k attacker.
Scissor finger?
Scissor finger, yeah. Scissor finger. He's a 9k booster when all your opponent's rear guards are rested, which pretty much happens all the time.
We want to change it to the which one is it? The machining one, that when you call it to the rear guard and you soul charge one, but that card was like a promo, and it's like near impossable to find online.
Because it's been out of print for years.
It's been out of print for years. So.
And then I run this.
I hate that card.
This is another promo. This is another promo that came out. It's pretty much good for any restanding Vanguard that's out there. Pretty much, you just throw this to the Guardian Circle, and your opponent can't restand their Vanguard.
If the attack doesn't hit.
If the attack doesn't hit, your opponent can't restand their Vanguard for the rest of the turn. Only thing it doesn't stop is next stage, Thing Saver, and Raging Form.
And anything that has to reride the Vanguard, it doesn't stop. But yeah,
Vic Plasma and all that.
Yeah. It annoys me when I play Tetra Boil. So
Shadow Paladin players when they play
have Abyss.
Yep. Anybody else? I mean, the X, the Great, any of them. It just stops them dead in their tracks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. It's just, you just throw it out that turn. So it doesn't matter. So even if they're attacking with a rear guard, you can throw this out during that, and it still goes off because it goes to the whole turn.
Yep.
So.
All right, on to grade 2.
And then I run 4 of the 10k vanilla, just because with people just trying just really hard to play the grade 2 game, that extra 1,000 just makes so much of a difference. It really does. Just defensively, it really does. Especially when people are playing just grade 2s. They're just like, swing at you. You can throw down a 10k shield and it's like, nope, 20. Not going to hit.
Yep.
It's just great defensively early, and they really don't have much good grade 2, so it's just good just to have. It's just general. Then, what is it? Buster Mantis.
Yep, the generic 12k.
12k, pretty much. He's nice because
he makes 21k lines with that other grade 1.
Yeah, so it hits that nice magical number, which we all miss. And then I run Cocktail.
She's my favorite card.
Cocktail is interesting because you counterblast 1, and you stun one of your opponent's rear guards, and then it's interesting because then the opponent's rear guard gets an ability that if it's still there at the end of their turn, you draw a card. And they can't stand that unit or intercept with that unit. So essentially, if they don't want you to plus, they have to replace it.
Right.
So it's just nice all around.
Yeah. Even if you restand that unit, as long as it's rest at the end of their turn, you get to draw a card.
Yeah, so it's nice. So they have to physically replace it with another card.
It's good to attack with her first if you don't want your opponent to intercept before you attack with your Vanguard.
Yeah. So that's the grade 2s. And then grade
Grade
3s.
three?
I run for the brake ride, just because there's not. I don't run the Legion because the Legions are just machining, and their skills require machinings, so it's not that interesting. It kind of doesn't flow. It doesn't flow at all because it requires machining essentially everything, and then it just messes up everything. And I don't run Giraffa just because I just don't have him. I was thinking about doing it, but like when I'm sitting there thinking about with the whole Giraffa build and Darkface, Giraffa and all of his cards take up a lot of the deck, so
Yeah. You get more value out of the break ride because it's like when you break right on top of it, which is when you're at 4 damage and you ride a grade 3 over it, you stun one of your opponent's rear guards and you stun their Vanguard. The Vanguard cannot stand during their after their draw phase and when their turn goes, and it forces them to re-ride a grade 3. Even if if you stride over a rested Vanguard, your stride unit comes out in the same position as your Vanguard, meaning that you pretty much strode for nothing unless you're doing something with Link Jokers just to get a lock off, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah. And then you run for Darkface.
He's super good.
Darkface is amazing because for the sheer fact of when you stride over top of him, you pay the cost and then you choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards. And if they're, once again, they get the ability. If they're there at the end of the turn of their opponent's next turn, you draw 2 cards.
At rest.
So that's fantastic. That's why you don't run any draw power or draw triggers, because he's essentially him and Cocktail are your draw power.
Now the one thing about him is that he does not prevent intercepting. So if you do stun those, you can intercept when you use his ability. They just cannot stand, and then they get the ability that if they're rested, you're in phase, then you get to draw cards.
Yeah, that's why I mainly go after people's boosters with it, because they don't want me to keep drawing. They don't want me to get that advantage. So it forces them to kill off their boosters and pull cards from their hands to replace it. Then he has another nice ability. That's
my favorite ability on him.
Literally, this is the reason why the soul is such an important thing for him, is that when an opponent calls a unit, you can Soul Blast 2.
Yep.
And literally, as soon as that card comes out, you stun that card immediately. So it's nice for when, like, it's great when I'm, say, playing Aqua Force, and then I know that, say, like, Clay's going into something, and he's like, Tidal. It's like, as soon as Tidal comes out, it's like, no. Tidal, no. Magnus, no. Any of his restanders that he needs just to get to his battles, I'm just like, no. Stun, no.
Yep.
Because knowing him, he's usually sometimes either only has 1, or if he has it, he has 2, but it still won't do much without it. Because if he doesn't have both,
you can't hit the 4th battle
without both rear guards. Yeah, so it's great for that. That's where
it's the only type of interaction you generally have with your opponent. Outside of guarding, this is one of the things that I like about this card, is that you get to react to what they do. You get to stop what they're doing. If your opponent calls out like a Silent Tom, you can Soul Blast to them. Well, and it also forces your opponent to play around that ability. The thing is, like, if I go up against ability, your opponent is going to try to bait you to use that ability on certain cards. So they'll call certain things, trying to bait you to use it, because it is Soul Blast 2, which is pretty expensive, which is why we want to run that. We're trying to find that other card so we can build up soul more, so that we can have enough soul. Sometimes we have to re-ride Darkface, or we ride the break ride first, then try and break right over him. Just try different ways to build up soul. Megacolony doesn't. I don't think they have a trigger that goes into the soul. No, they don't have a trigger that goes into soul. He hasn't gotten his second wave of G support yet, so he doesn't have his persona crit. So building the soul is something that you're good. You have to do a little extra to do.
Yep. So
all right, on the stride, go.
All right, and then run for what's Parasphere?
Parasphere.
Essentially, he's great. When you bring him out, it rests all of your opponent's rear guards, regardless if they used them or not. And then if they have 4 or more,
3 or more,
then you draw a card.
And he gets 5k.
Yeah, so it's great just to go in. He's you rest your draw power, so he's great for that.
He pretty much get you a card back for striding. So you lose a card for striding, but then you gain that card back essentially from the draw. He's a really good strider. You probably go into him a lot more often than you would this next one.
Yeah, because Because then you got
Stun Beetle.
Stun Beetle is the nastiest man in the world. He is just nasty, nasty, nasty.
If he hits.
If he hits. So essentially, what he does, if he hits, he stuns your opponent's Vanguard.
Counterblast 2 and G-Flip.
G-Flip. If he hits, he stuns your opponent's Vanguard, and your opponent cannot re-ride their next turn. So essentially, they're done. That turn. They can essentially
They can just draw and attack with rears.
Because even if they stride, the stride unit's going to come in as rested. So it's pointless for them to waste that. So this card is just great. Because people will save their perfect cards just for this. They won't use their perfect cards on him. Oh no, they will not. They'll save it all for this guy.
That's why I said you usually go into Parasphere more often, because it's like, well, you push them to if you push them to higher damages, it's like, well, I can go into Stun Beetle, and if you know they have a perfect guard in their hand, you don't go into Stun Beetle, you go into this guy and force the perfect guard, because it's just, it's a pretty big number, and you're drive checking, you're running 12 crits, all those things applied. But if you want to take a chance, if they don't have a perfect guard in hand, force them to drop all that shield. This guy is nasty if he hits. He does have the thing. If he doesn't hit, then he goes to the G zone flipped up, so you can use him a few more times. But
yeah, but literally he's like your Ragnarok. He, like, most of the time people will not let him hit. I think I've only ever had one person let him hit. That was it. But people will say, they see Stun Beetle, they're like, nope, perfect guard. And it's like, okay, sure, I run 12 crits, so if I get crits, they're all going to the rear guards immediately, so you're gonna probably eat that. So
yep,
it's nice. They're both nice to have.
He just needs another wave of support, really.
He does. Once he gets another wave of support and he gets like another backup, when Darkface essentially just gets all of his like Persona stuff that everyone else has been getting, he'll just be amazing. The only thing is because if they get their Persona trigger, they don't have to worry about the soul.
They just need their second. They
just need a second wave.
Personally, I don't care. I don't care if they get any support or not, because I hate playing against Megacolony. But
it's just a fun. It's a fun anti-meta deck. It's literally.
Personally, I think Black Steve. Do you agree that we think Darkface is better than Machinings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Machinings are good. Destroyer is a disgusting card, but the reason why we like this deck of Machining, because it's a bit more consistent. You get draw power. You have a lot of draw power from stunning your opponent's units and making them pay, forcing them to make pretty bad decisions. And the Megacolony thing, yes, it stuns their Vanguard and another unit, but it doesn't have that draw power where your opponent can definitely do things to pressure their hand back, where this deck, builds up a lot of advantage, builds up some good hand advantage, and can deal with oncoming pressure a lot better than what Machinings.
Yeah, what he said.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, alright, guys.
Hit the nail on the head.
Thank you for Deck Profile White Steve.
Anytime.
We will be moving on to some more other deck profiles. We might have a match video of some things. You guys already know Chaos Breaker universe is done, all sleeved up and everything. Brawlers are done and all sleeved up.
Where's that lighter real quick?
Boy, stop.
Where's that lighter? Hey, you guys saw that picture of that Chaos Breaker that was ripped up? Let's do another one.
Nope. All right, we're out. Peace.